Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. I'm 16 female, and my parents have been giving me tons of chores around the house since I was 10, including laundry, cleaning, and bathrooms. Since I was 14, I've also been in charge of cooking. Meanwhile, my siblings, 12 female and 9 male, aren't required to do much, if anything at all. I've always felt this was unfair, but my parents insist it's my responsibility as the eldest. It's not just the chores. I'm also not allowed to stay after school for any extracurriculars because they say there's nobody to supervise my siblings. So I've been missing out on things I would love to do. To make things more complicated, my parents had a surprise baby a year ago. They were not thrilled, and ever since they've been expecting me to help with him too. They even tried moving him into my room so I could do night feeds, saying my mom needed sleep for work. I refused that one, but they still ask me to do more with him than I feel comfortable. Last month, my parents left all 3 of my siblings with me to go visit my grandpa for the weekend. They didn't ask or even tell me in advance. This past weekend, they did it again. Only this time, I woke up to find them already gone. I had to cancel a work shift I had taken on, and by the end of the weekend, I was beyond exhausted. I told them they couldn't keep doing this, and they promised it wouldn't happen again. So this weekend, I volunteered for a 36-hour shift, partly because I wanted the extra money and partly because I was fed up. I slipped out at 5 a.m. without telling anyone and went to work. Around 11, my sister, 12 female, started blowing up my phone. I ignored it, leaving my phone on silent. Then, my parents started calling around 1 p.m. I finally picked up at 4, and they were furious, demanding to know where I was. I told them I was working and asked where they were. They were already hours away and admitted they had left assuming I would be home to take care of my siblings. I told them it wasn't my job to be the family nanny. I ended the call, but they kept calling and texting all weekend. It's now Monday and I haven't gone home yet. I honestly don't know what to do at this point. I don't think I'm in the wrong for wanting my own life, but I'm stuck feeling guilty and unsure of what to do next. Any advice? Update. So, I went back home on Wednesday while my parents were still at work. When they got home, they called a family meeting. They started by saying I'm no longer allowed to work. They expect me to go to school, come straight home, and take over caring for the baby from the sitter. On weekends, they said they will be gone, and I will be the one responsible for all my siblings. My dad added that my mom is struggling with depression and I need to be more understanding. They said from now on, if anything goes wrong while they're gone, they will hold me accountable. My younger siblings, 12 female and 9 male, were sitting there sneering at me through the whole conversation. They know they don't have any responsibilities and seem to enjoy watching me take all the heat. I told my parents that I refuse to take on this responsibility. I reminded them that I'm a child, and if they leave me alone with the kids without my agreement, I will call the police. Things escalated into a huge argument, with yelling and name-calling on both sides. I shouted at them too and called them horrid parents, which caused my mom to cry. Since then, I've started picking up more work shifts to avoid being home as much as possible. I don't know what the next step is, but I can't keep living like this. Thanks for all the support so far. I appreciate it. I'm so sorry you're going through this, OP. You're right. You're also still a child, and you shouldn't be taking on this much responsibility. It's not fair, and it is almost cruel. Especially if it prevents you from having a life and from doing anything that you want to do. Your parents are being bad parents, with the way they're treating you like their live-in nanny, asking you to stop working and just come back home straight from school. It's like they don't want you to have a life at all and just take care of their kids. and handle their responsibility while they go out and do God knows what. I'm so glad you stood up for yourself. Your parents obviously needed that threat. I seriously hope they'll wake up and see that they've been wrong all along and change their ways. Good luck, OP. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for not paying my employee for the week after she left early? I'm posting this at the request of my teenage daughter. I own a restaurant and employ around 5 girls that work most nights. The employee in question, M, has been working with me for 6 years, my senior employee, and works 6 nights a week. She's an excellent and reliable worker. I even make her temporary manager when I can't make it into work a few times a year. Last week, during the night with myself and 2 other girls, M got a call from her brother saying he had accidentally left their 4-year-old sister at home by herself, and he and their parents, I don't know where they were, wouldn't be back for at least 2 or 3 hours. Of course, M panicked and told me she had to leave. I initially was hesitant, but M wouldn't stop begging and even offered to not receive payment for the hours she had worked this week. I accepted and she went home to look after her sister. When I told my daughter what had happened, she was shocked that I had agreed to not pay M. My view is that M was the one who wanted to go home for the family emergency, and she even suggested not getting paid. My daughter called me an a-hole and stubborn, and a few other words I have punished her for. Edit. I am a woman, stop calling me he. So I've been banned. Some of these comments are outrageous. I might make another account to reply if I can be bothered. You are the a-hole, OP. And I can't believe you're so unaware of how much of an a-hole you are when your teenage daughter does. How could you say you want to be paying your employee because she suggested you not pay her? She was just saying all she could to get you to let her leave and go be with her 4-year-old sibling because no one else was home to look after her. You should have been more supportive about her leaving, OP. You should have been worried about the child too, but instead you didn't want her to leave, and you only finally did when she offered to forgo her pay. That was wicked. You're the a-hole. Now for some comments. Wow, you probably don't offer bonuses, 401k and adequate healthcare benefits, and an exemplary employee had to beg you to allow her to leave during an emergency. This is the person that you trust with your business when you are out of town, and you didn't even consider paying her for the few hours she was gone? How do you even motivate your employees? I say this being a military and business leader for over 30 years. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole, straight up. You were wildly unreasonable to even question whether you should have let her leave to go look after her sister. It's crazy that you would think that that's appropriate. You were endangering that child's life by not letting your employee leave immediately. The emergency wasn't her fault. She wouldn't have chosen to leave her shift, but she had to. If you value her, want her to continue working for you, and you want all of your other employees to respect you, remain loyal to you, and frankly continue working for you, you had better pay her. Hell, I'd even pay her for the hours she missed that shift. A little understanding and kindness can go a very, very long way. Your lack of self-awareness is astounding. Wow. Of course, your employee was going to say anything to get out of there without being fired so her 4-year-old sister wouldn't be left entirely alone and unsupervised for several hours. Was she willing to sacrifice a week's worth of pay for her preschool-aged sister's safety? Yes. Did she want or deserve for you to agree and follow through? No. You come across as so nonchalant regarding your behavior in this situation. Can you really not see how this is completely unreasonable of you? And on top of that, she is a dedicated, valued employee who has never done this before. You're lucky she hasn't quit yet. You're the a-hole, and your daughter knows you suck. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for being upset that my boss didn't buy me Starbucks? I work at Target, and today when I went in for an early morning shift, the team lead who runs the front end of the store found out that a nearby drive-through Starbucks was open, and she went out of her way to drive there and pick up drinks for everyone working. For the first round of people, she didn't ask me what I wanted, but I didn't make a big deal out of it since it was just the first round, and I was in the back room, so I assumed that she didn't see me. But then came more rounds of drinks, and she seemed to be going around and asking everyone but me. She was asking other team members all around the store what kind of drink they wanted. And I knew that she had to have known I was there because she was using a grid, which is basically just a list of team members scheduled for the day. She even asked our security guy, who only comes in for 2 days a week. I was sitting in the break room when she brought in more drinks for people, and she didn't even bother asking me if I wanted anything or if she had already asked me. It really felt like she was ignoring me. Me and her have a bit of an iffy history as of late. Earlier this week, she pulled me off the truck unload and had me spray and wipe down cots, which really pissed me off since we already had disinfectant wipes for the guests to use at their disposal, and she had her own disposal of front-end team members who are actually trained in sanitation. I was in a bad mood whilst doing it and I didn't hide it. And later in the day, she walked by me and said hi, but I just ignored her and walked away. Anyway, as I was clocking out today, she was bringing in another round of drinks, and I walked by and sarcastically said to her, "Thanks for asking me if I wanted anything." She said, "Excuse me," and I just walked away. I'm honestly not pissed about Starbucks specifically, but more so the blatant exclusion. Since I've worked at Target for longer than 90% of the current employees, and I will loudly and proudly say that I'm one of the store's best workers. Am I the a-hole here? Now for some comments. You're the a-hole if you don't get along with her, and even if you do, you aren't entitled to her buying you anything. I think you maybe made it too obvious you were mad at her, which made her not get you anything, or she just forgot. It's been really hectic lately at essential stores, and I think she was just trying to do something nice for people, which isn't something to get salty over. It being hectic also explains her needing help sanitizing because they are probably trying to be extra careful. You're the worst kind of employee. You're the a-hole. You've been treating her like shit. Validating it because somehow your ability to work at Target longer than them means you can treat them like shit. Of course you got ignored. You have been ignoring her long before she did anything to you. And then you had the audacity to yell at her without at all using your words. Based on your ability to brag about working at Target, I'm gonna guess you're not in high school. So grow up and use your words. You're the a-hole. It seems you started the passive-aggressive behavior when you were assigned to a job you didn't like. She in turn retaliated in kind, it seems, which makes both of you a-holes. Then, instead of just going up to her like an adult and saying, "Hey, would you mind picking me up a coffee as well?" you purposely chose to wait, stew about it, and then make another passive-aggressive comment, furthering the tension between the two of you. This is not only an a-hole move but a childish one as well, at your place of employment no less.